You're listening to the Online Business Blueprint brought to you by PlatformLaunchers.com. I'm John Stange, and it's great to have you with us as always, because here we talk about building and growing and monetizing your online platform. We talk about taking your passion, turning it into a platform so you can earn a paycheck. And we have a lot of fun things that we like to talk about here on the show because we know that these are things that propel you forward. And this week, I have a special guest from time to time. You've probably noticed if you've been listening to the show for any length of time that typically about once a month, give or take, I like to bring on a guest expert who can teach us something about what they're doing that will help us with our online businesses. And over the years, if you've been listening to the show since 2021, we've been doing this all the time. Lots of high-level guests that we've had on, people doing all sorts of cool things. And I hope that that's been encouraging and inspiring. And this month, we have a guest that I am particularly fond of because we have none other than my son, Daniel Stange. And my son is a 21-year-old college junior. He's working on his bachelor's degree and his master's degree at the same time. And in the meantime, what he's taken up over the past group of years is woodworking. He's gotten very good at it, works with local contractors, does some things on his own, and has mastered his craft and decided recently to create a YouTube channel related to creating some of the woodworking projects that he's doing. And the truth is, as we're recording this, we are 1 month shy of one day shy of the 1 month anniversary of him launching that channel. But the reason I'm bringing him on the Online Business Blueprint here to chat with us is because not only is he doing the type of things that we're doing, but instead of him being somebody that's been doing this forever, I'm bringing him on here as someone who just recently started doing this, but it's starting to work. His episodes that he's been producing on YouTube, we're seeing 1,000 downloads, 2,000 downloads. His subscriber count is starting to grow. And so I thought this would be insightful and encouraging if you have been considering launching a YouTube channel to hear from someone who's not 3 years ahead of you or 10 years ahead of you, but someone who can literally at this point right now say, if you were to start your channel today, he is 1 month ahead of you. That is all. 1 month ahead of you. And he has some insights to share. So, Daniel, welcome to the Online Business Blueprint.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm grateful to have you on here, and thanks for being willing to do this. So for starters, why don't we just give everybody the name of your channel so that they can find it, and then I'll ask you a little bit about starting the channel.
Sure. So the name of my channel is my last name, so Stange and woodworking. Fairly simple.
Fairly simple as long as people know how to spell it, right? So
Right.
Stange, Stange Woodworking. So if they search that, they'll find your channel. All right. So question, let's just start off right off the bat here with what inspired you to even do this, to start this channel and to start creating this content?
Well, I actually recorded my first YouTube video for woodworking 2 years ago. And I had this ambition, and I thought it would be cool to make a YouTube video as I consume a lot of them all the time. And I never published it because I thought it was awful. And I was like, no one would ever want to listen to this. But more recently, I've been watching more and getting a little bit more comfortable in my craft. And I decided that the things that I was doing were interesting. And I thought other people would find them interesting too. And I wanted to make content, or I wanted to make something that would last longer than just putting the finish on, which would be the final step in woodworking. As well as that, there are a lot of my friends at college ask me constantly to show them what I'm doing so that they could learn how to do it themselves. And so I can't offer the shop that I don't even own to all of my friends and to have them all in there. Plus, it's not really safe to do that with a bunch of untrained college students. And so I decided that it would be best for me to just record what I'm doing and publish it and let them check out what I'm doing. And if they're interested, they can ask me questions. So that's
Awesome.
why.
Have they been checking out the channel? Have they been
They
watching
have.
some of your episodes?
Yep.
Giving you some feedback? Do they like it?
It has definitely been the most source of quick feedback, the highest source of quick feedback, because it has been both positive and negative, and I've been able to glean some wisdom from that.
How dare people give you negative feedback? We're going to get into that, by the way, because it's not all upside, right? So we'll get into that in a few minutes. But all right, so you chose the niche of woodworking. Why did you choose that as far as creating YouTube content?
Well, woodworking is one of the things I'm the best at. I went to a technical high school and studied woodworking for 3.5 years. And through those 3 years, I really fell in love with the craft. And so I kind of fell into that niche just from really enjoying it.
Excellent. And I can testify to those who are listening to us right now. He really is good at it. The wainscoting in our house, the crown molding in our house, he's the one that did it. I bought this house 16 and a half years ago. And from the time I bought it, I kept looking around the different rooms. I thought, boy, it'd look really nice to have crown molding in this room. And I had no idea when I bought this house that years later it would be my son who at the time when I bought this house, you were what, 4 years old?
Yep, I
And
was four.
I had no idea that that 4-year-old one day was going to grow into a man who actually did the crown molding for me. So thanks, and you did great. And by the way, it's really helpful when the person that you hire still lives with you, because if they notice something that over time they feel like it needs to be touched up or whatever, they'll repair it. He just did that the other day. He's like, what, the caulking by some of that crown molding looks like it could use a little bit of an update, and I see without me even asking. So it's good that this came with a warranty. But anyway, what were some of the, as you tried to get this all started with your channel, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in getting this channel up and going? Because it's only been up and going for a month now.
Yeah, I'd say the number one was the lighting, just as far as recording. So it'd be angles and lighting, taking video that was actually enjoyable to watch or to
Okay.
look at, and wasn't something that you could tell that someone who's just starting was recording. And so I'd say that was number one. And then number two would be learning how to edit. I'd never done that before. And so trying to figure out how to use the software and then also just what looks good and what's enjoyable to watch.
Is there any specific, so if somebody's listening to you right now and they're just trying to get their YouTube channel up and running, one of the big questions people always ask is, like, what kind of equipment should I buy? What kind of software should I be using? What do you use? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I got a nice tripod that I use for one of my woodworking tools. It's a laser level, so I need a tripod to keep it up. So I use that for my phone. And then I just record with my phone. I've got an iPhone 13 Pro, and the camera is good enough on it. And so I tried to do it with as little unnecessary overhead as possible until it started to really get going, or something that I could tell that I'd really stick with. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money before I really committed to it. So I mean that's the only equipment I really used. And then I have a MacBook, and so I use that for school, but it comes with iMovie on it. And so that's the editing software that I use.
Yeah. So basically an iPhone and iMovie software and a tripod
Yep.
and some lighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I took a
that's
lamp out of my room.
okay. You took a lamp out of your room. I wondered why it
Yeah.
was so dark up there all of a sudden. All right. How did you come up with just the channel name, the branding, things like that you've got with it?
Yeah, so I don't know if I will stick with the name forever. I love our last name, but it is one letter short of strange, and I'm not sure I want people to think I do strange woodworking, although that might brand well.
It
But
might. You never know.
it might, yeah. As it stands, a lot of the people that know me know my last name, and I wanted to get kickstarted with the people that know me because I knew that they would support it,
Hmm.
and so I kind of just started with that, and then I also looked into what other channels do that works, and I'm seeing these other YouTube videos that have hundreds of thousands of views on them that are doing the same thing that I wanted to do, and all of them were just named after their own names. It was just a bunch of guys naming their channels off of themselves, generally first and last name, and then just posting videos. And so I knew I didn't need to do anything too ornate or let myself be held back by not being sure what I wanted to name it. I wanted to focus on putting out a simple name, something that I could be recognized from, and then making good content. And maybe in the future, I'll rebrand it.
Yeah, if you even need to, maybe you'll decide not
Right.
to. I often that's why I call, all my different shows, they don't have our last name, even though I'm perfectly pleased with our last name, but because people spell it wrong, or if they spell it right, they pronounce it wrong. That's why, my business is called Platform Launchers or different things like that, right? Okay. Now you're creating a variety of woodworking related episodes for your YouTube channel. Tell us about what some of the things that you're featuring on those episodes, and how did you decide to feature that kind of woodworking task? What have you been doing so far?
Yeah, so the main thing that I do is work on a lathe. And for those who don't know what that is, it's the tool that spins and it spins the wood, and then you use a chisel to cut the wood into the shape that you want. So that's where bowls, spindles, baseball bats, things like that are made.
Nice.
And the reason that I decided to do that, and I would say if there's one thing that you do take away from this interview, the main thing that I would want you to take away from it is I'm making content that I would watch.
Hmm.
And that's why I started doing it. I love watching lathe videos. I love seeing what other people can make on this tool because it's so versatile and you can do all the work on one tool, which is very rare in woodworking. And because of that, it's the content that I like watching, and so it's the content that I've been producing. And it turns out I'm not the only one that likes it.
Nice. And that lathe that you're working on, how old is that machine?
It's from 1953, so about 73 years old, 72, 73 years old.
Wow, it's over 70 years old, and it's still
Yep.
got, good life in it. So which is really cool. So do you have a process for, scripting out what you're going to do and then filming it and editing it? Like what's your workflow look like?
Uh, not it's not a well refined process yet. I'm pretty busy with a lot of the other things that I'm doing, and so I really I'll look online for good deals on nice lumber, and then I'll buy it, and then I'll cut it up. And as far as recording, I try to keep the camera angle basically the same the whole time. I've noticed that people really seem to like if the angle of the camera is the same angle that you would be seeing the project from, almost giving you like a 4D experience where you feel like you might be the one doing it. Um, so yeah, I mean, my process is pretty scattered as it is right now, but I'm just really trying to produce as much content as I can now and to see what works, and then I'll produce that content more
How often are you uploading content?
as much as I can. I started a month ago, and I have 5 videos, so
So at
six
least
videos.
one a week.
Yeah, just
One a
about.
week or one every a little bit less than a week. Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about mistakes for just a second. We'll
Mhm.
visit some of this in a little bit here. But are there any mistakes that you feel like you made on the early side that you would warn other new YouTubers about? Anything that you've done that you would say, all right, if you're new, you might make this same mistake. Don't do this.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind for that would be on what I said earlier with the challenges of lighting. One of the first videos I did record, I had the main lighting focused towards the camera, and when I did that, it took all of the focus away from the piece. And so having the light going with the camera coming from behind it, I noticed makes for a much nicer shot.
Mhm.
And then I mean, the only other mistake I can really think of is not doing it sooner, uh, because I've known how to do this for a long time and I've just decided not to. So, um, one
You
of the
just
other
wish you
things
did
that
earlier.
I did mess up on is I got copyright striked a couple days ago.
I was going to
Um,
ask you about that. Explain that in case anyone's curious.
yeah, copyright strike just means, I mean, using someone else's content and saying that it's yours. I use YouTube's music library, which offers free music for the background of your videos. But I didn't use it for this video. And when I downloaded what was labeled as no copyright music, I didn't copy and paste the attribution text into the description. And YouTube picked it up and they flagged it, and it really tanked the video. It has not performed as well as any of the other videos. And I wonder if that has something to do with it.
It most likely does. So that's
Mhm.
useful to know. So YouTube has a vast free library of background music that you can pull from if you're doing content creation. But if you use something, royalty-free music from outside,
Mm.
the big lesson there is make sure you've got the attribution for it, who it belongs to or where it came from in the description. That's the big counsel there. All right, let's talk about growing your audience because I know a lot of people are curious about that. Some of the biggest questions that I get related to any form of digital content is how do you grow an audience and how do you monetize it? So let's talk about both of those. But I want to start with growing the audience because I guarantee there are people that are listening to us right now that are asking that question. All right, your videos are starting to get good views and stuff like that. So your audience is growing. First of all, just give us a realistic view. You've been doing this for a month. What kind of metrics are you seeing as far as views and subscribers and stuff like that on your channel?
Yeah, I am averaging around 1,000 views per video, and I have just over 100 subscribers. I passed that benchmark last week.
Nice.
Um, so that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. So again, still very early, but within just a few weeks, over 100 subscribers. And the thing that I'm kind of shocked with is the fact that your episodes are already averaging over 1,000 views per episode. What's your best performing episode? What's that one at?
Yeah, it is at 2,300 views, and that
Okay.
was published exactly a month ago, minus a day.
And it's at 2,300 views. So that's
Yep.
definitely an excellent start. So, what strategies have you used in these early days to help you grow that audience and get those downloads and subscribers? What's working for you?
Yeah, I started by just telling as many people as I can, and being that I've been able to see the stuff that you've been able to do. I did the content waterfall as well with publishing it on other social media platforms to just grow as much traffic as I could. I've also been using hashtags in all of the descriptions at the end of my videos, just really scratching and clawing for any reason that it would show up on someone's For You page or recommended page. And then after that, once people actually engage with the video, I'm trying to produce something that they care to come back for. I want people to keep coming back. And so if anyone comments, I'll respond to it. I'd like to leave a thank you message at the most recent video. Now that I'm doing voiceovers in the videos as well, just trying to make people feel better that they did watch my video.
So, you're engaging with the audience. Like if people leave
Mhm.
comments and things like that, you engage with the comments?
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. Have you collaborated with anyone? You doing any content collaborations or anything like that to help grow the channel?
I haven't done that yet, but I'm definitely not opposed to it.
Nice. Okay, and you brought up some of the social media that you're using to help promote it. What role would you say social media has in helping you get the word out?
Well, I've been trying to build my Instagram for a while, and that's the main social media that I use. And so I've got a little over 400 followers on my woodworking Instagram page. And so I think that had a major role in starting the channel, getting it started. I definitely think that played into YouTube's algorithm because the day that I published a video, I posted the thumbnail on Instagram. And that day, I think I got 40 subscribers. And so I think that showed up to YouTube where they're like, whoa, like immediately a bunch of people care about this. And that video that I published that day has done the best out of all of them. And I
Nice.
think that has a big thing to play for that.
Nice. So, all right, going forward, I'm assuming you have some dreams and ambitions and goals for this channel. What do you want it to become as it develops over time?
Yeah, my ultimately my goal is just that it would become um, a good source of relaxing or interesting videos that someone would watch at the end of their day, or informational videos. I'm really just trying to document the things that I'm doing that are interesting that other people have asked me to show them, and just trying to produce content that people would be interested in. So my long-term vision is really just to produce as much as I can and more or less leave a legacy of the woodworking that I'm able to produce.
I love that. And I love the content that you're producing. It's fun to watch. If this becomes something that keeps developing, eventually what ends up happening is that YouTube is going to give you the opportunity to monetize this channel. Once you cross over 1,000 subscribers and you have a certain amount of viewing hours and things like that, they're you're going to get an email and they're going to say, "Hey, are you interested in monetizing this?" So, would you, if they offered that to you, would you monetize it?
Yeah, I'd monetize it. They're putting ads on my videos anyway. Might as well monetize it.
Yeah, might as well get some revenue share from it, right?
Mhm.
So, anything early that you're doing right now, even before the channel's monetized in a traditional way through YouTube, is there anything you're doing right now to kind of pre-monetize it just on your own?
Well, I've signed up with Amazon affiliate, trying to get that moving. And while that hasn't gotten any revenue yet, I have gotten some engagement with it. So I'm sure as the channel grows, the engagement with that will grow. And that was really easy to set up. I just applied for it, and within 2 days, it became available. And then I'd copy and paste the links into my description, and that's all I have to do. So I put all of the interesting tools that I use in the video and all of the finish, the products, anything that I can buy on Amazon that I used in the video, I put it in the description. And if anyone's interested in it, then they'll give it a click, and that works well for me.
And I'll comment
Um,
on that before you go
yeah,
any further. If anyone's looking for that, it's called Amazon Associates, and they will give you affiliate links for all sorts. They'll let you use affiliate links to monetize your channel that way, and they'll give you monthly commissions and stuff like that. So that's what you look for. Their affiliate program. I don't know why they don't just call it Amazon Affiliates, but it's actually called Amazon Associates, and that's what their affiliate program is actually called. And then tell us more about monetization.
yeah. The only other thing that I'm monetizing with is just selling what I'm making. And so like I just made an engagement ring box for one of my friends and sold it to him. And so I was able to make content with it and sell the product. And so that works out twice as well. And because I'm at a Christian college, there's a lot of people getting engaged in college. And so that's actually the fourth one I've made. And I'm sure that won't be the last now that many hundred people have seen that I'm capable of doing it.
It could be your calling card. People could be like, "Hey, if you're getting engaged, make sure you see Daniel Stongi from Stongi Woodworking, right?" And you could get an engagement ring box.
Yeah. One of
Pretty
my
sharp.
friends said that it would be an entertaining form of gossip to know, oh, Stongy just posted a new video. Who's getting engaged?
You won't be able to reveal who your customers are because then people will know that the ring is on the way. And
Yeah.
and by the way, your girlfriend is getting a little impatient, is kind of waiting on a ring from you too. So any news that you want to share here on the podcast?
Not yet.
Oh, no, no, you don't we don't get an inside scoop? There's no all right, never mind. I won't do that to you in a public forum. But I will ask you some questions. She's gonna be listening to this, and she would be really hoping you revealed
Oh,
something
yeah.
here. But, all right. So, also, hi, Grace. It's great to have you as a listener. Okay. So, few closing comments here. All right. First, before I even ask these, I just want to encourage everybody, stop over at Stongy Woodworking at YouTube and subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so. You get to watch the process and you get to see some cool videos. But I'm just curious, you're a month in and it can't all be positive, right? So have you experienced anything particularly negative? And if so, how have you dealt with it?
Yeah, I have. The ones that I actually care about are people in my closer circle. So my friends at college. While it's like almost none of them, most people have been very supportive and very interested in it. There are some digs that come here and there where it's just maybe playful fun, but it's still like I'm sticking my neck out there to put these videos out, and to say something disparaging like, "Oh, I don't care," or "That turned out poorly," or "Why did you do that?" is something like that does dig a little bit. But the more entertaining and interesting side of that is on one of my videos, I got a few comments of people telling me that not only was it a waste of time what I did in the video, but I wasted their time by having them watch the video. And there was one that I had to remove because it was littered with profanity, and I did not want that associated with my channel. But yeah, that was the primary commented reaction to that video, and it happens to be my most popular video, I think, partially because of their engagement. So it's a bit of a bittersweet feeling for me to know that their bad words Their mean words meant that I made it so that I got more views and the video became much more popular.
Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice when people troll you and you can just receive some benefit? How
Yeah.
do you deal with criticism? I mean, you've um, in a sense observed just in my public roles that throughout the course of my life, that's unfortunately something that I've had to deal with from time to time. Thankfully, it doesn't happen a ton, but it does happen some. So anytime you do put yourself out there publicly or you put content out there publicly, we all have to be aware that there will be people who they're not very productive typically. They just like to rip apart those who try to be productive. So you do have to kind of bolster yourself a little bit. How are you personally dealing with any criticism you might receive from internet trolls or just unkind people?
Well, what you just said there is something that you have taught me through most of my life, that it's not really useful to take the advice of someone that's not doing it when you are. And so that was basically how I read those. I was like, great, you engaged with the video. The fact that you know that it was a waste of time means you watched the whole video. And I don't really care. Like, I'm doing it. Clearly, 2,000 other people liked it. So like that, it really doesn't get to me. And as far as my friends go, that doesn't matter either, because they're the ones that are like, oh, I don't know how to do that, maybe you ought to show me. And then I
They're the
show them and
ones
it's like,
paying you for
that's
these ring
terrible.
boxes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So they must like something that you're doing. I have watched these videos. I'm shocked that they'd receive any criticism from anyone other than maybe somebody that wishes that they had a 73-year-old lathe that they were able to turn some of this wood. If you had
Yeah.
if you had to start over, if you're starting over from scratch, anything you do differently?
um Yeah, I would edit a little differently in the beginning videos. I When I recorded it, I got so attached to the videos that I like, the content that I had videoed. And so what I did was I sped it up and I kept all of what I videoed and I just sped up the parts that were a little long, because it's a very long process to make these bowls and other things. And I think it is more appealing as a viewer to see it in more real time and just see clips of it happening and maybe smoothly move through and do a little bit of speed and a little bit of real time and things like that. I would probably edit them a little bit differently. But aside from that, I think the only thing that I would say that I could do better is do it more. Um, and that would be the thing I've learned through doing. And so that has been really helpful.
You just get in motion, do the thing you're supposed to do, and then you know, learn in the process. Final
Right.
question. My final question for you here. First of all, thanks for doing this interview with us. But my final question is this: if there's someone listening to us right now, what advice would you give to someone who's starting a YouTube channel today and they're really thinking about doing it? They've heard what you've said and maybe learned a little bit from your experiences. You've shared some of these things. What advice would you give to someone who was ready to start a YouTube channel today?
Just do it. Just do it. It's intimidating a little bit, but once you publish that first video and you see that 20 people liked it, because they at least 20 people saw it, that's really encouraging. I always think of it as a 20 views on a YouTube video feels like a flop. But if there were 20 people in my workshop watching what I was doing, even for the 3 minutes of average or retention that I'm getting, I would feel like an accomplished teacher. And so even though it looks bad on YouTube, in reality, it's great. And so I would say just do it, give it a shot. The worst that could happen is, I mean, at least someone's going to watch it. And so I would say just do it.
I love that. Daniel Stange, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you as our guest expert this month here on Platform Launchers and on the Online Business Blueprint podcast. Again, if you want to follow Daniel's YouTube channel, be sure to check out Stange Woodworking on YouTube. That's Stange Woodworking on YouTube. And Daniel, any parting words or any other ways that you'd recommend that people connect with you if they're interested in learning more?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's cool to be on this with you. And then, yeah, I mean, if you follow my Instagram, I will probably post video coming soon. I've recorded a couple new videos. And then, yeah, check out my YouTube channel and let me know what you think. Please leave comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I could do better, or what you liked about it. But engage with the videos as much as you can, and I'll try to engage with you as you do that.
Excellent. And why don't you give people where they could find you on Instagram as well?
Yep, the Instagram is d.stonge, STANGE _woodworking.
All right, d.stonge_woodworking. Daniel Stonge, thanks so much for being our guest. It was our pleasure to have you here, and we learned a lot.
Thanks for having me.